Hi, boys and girls. We are going to move on to the second part of our lesson, our new story from our Zach and Ann reader. Our targets are going to be I can blend sounds to read words, and I can answer and ask questions about a story I read. Today we're going to read the story Bug and Frog. We're going to use our table of contents to find the page we need to turn to. These are all the stories we've read, and today we're going to read Bug and Frog. We're going to track that line all the way to our page number 54. Let's open our books to page 54. Here's our new story today, Bug and Frog. It's going to be such a fun story today. Now, Miss Nakan will tell you that in your story today, you're going to see some tricky words that we went over. You're going to see your tricky word are. You're going to see your new tricky word were. You're going to see your tricky word was in your story today. In this story, Zach thinks that bugs are fun. We're going to read our story today to find out if Zach changes his mind at the end of the story. Zach and Ann are going to visit a pond today. There's two new words that Miss Nakan would like to talk about. Our first word is the word web. Web. I'm going to let you use your illustration on page 55 to see if you can figure out the meaning of the word web. Miss Nakan's going to give you some think time to really look at that picture and that illustration. Oh, do you see your web in that picture? Yes, right here in the corner. And I see a spider attached to that web. A web is a thin net spun by a spider. Our next vocabulary word is the word that Miss Nakan told you that we were going to listen for, munch. When we went over our ch, there was a reason I chose that word, munch. We're going to turn to our next picture, and I'm going to let you see if you can find something in your illustration to help you figure out the meaning of this word, munch. You got it? Very good. Munch means to chew or eat something. So now we're ready to read our story. Remember, we're reading our story to find out if Zach changes his mind about bugs being fun. Bug and Frog. Zach and Ann sit next to the pond. Zach says, "The pond is a lot of fun. I wish I were a bug." "Why?" says Ann. "Bugs are no fun." "Bugs zip and hum," says Zach. So they sort of have a difference of opinion. Zach says they're fun. Ann does not think they are fun. Ooh, look at this illustration. Zach is thinking. Ooh, he's thinking. Let's read to find out. "Frogs hop and splash and munch on bugs," says Ann. "I will not wish I was a bug," Zach quips. Zach and Ann had fun at the pond. They will tell Mom and Dad. Ooh, so let's talk about Zach. Zach thought bugs were fun, but then he sort of changed his mind. Zach thought about bugs and how frogs hop, splash, and munch on them. And then if you look at your illustration, what is this illustration showing you? What is it telling you about Zach's thinking? Let's zoom in a little closer. Yes, look at that. Zach is picturing himself as a bug, and he decides it's no fun to be a bug. He does not want to be eaten by a frog. All right, Miss Nakian has some questions I'm going to ask you. And then I'm going to ask you to think of your own questions. Remember, our target is to answer and ask. Here's our first question. Who is at the pond? Yes, our two main characters today are Zach and Ann. They are both at the pond. Here's our next question. Why does Zach wish he were a bug? So at the beginning of the story, yes, Zach thinks that it would be fun because the pond is a fun place. And if he was a bug, he could live there and have fun in the pond all day. Ooh, and here's our next question. Why does Zach change his mind about wishing to be a bug? Yes, we sort of shared our thinking about that question already. But if you want to, you can whisper it in your hand or tell your mom and dad. Remember that he changed his mind because after Ann told him that frogs like to hop and splash and munch on bugs, Zach decided it would not be fun to be a bug. Now I want you to do some thinking. What is a question that you could ask someone about this story? Maybe it could be, what is the setting? And remember, the setting is the where and the when. Daytime at the pond. Maybe you could ask an I wonder question. Maybe your I wonder question could be, will Zach and Ann go back to the pond tomorrow to have some fun? Maybe your I wonder question could be, what's an insect from the story that you think would be a fun insect to be? Or do you wonder if it is fun to be an insect at all? All right, now we're going to move on to our questions that we're going to answer today. Miss Nakian wants you to grab your paper that goes with our story today. I'm going to use a pen so that it makes it a little easier for you to see my writing. Also, remember our tripod grip. We're going to do our very best handwriting today. Here's our first question. Ooh, and there's our tricky word. There's our question word, where. Where are Zach and Ann? I'll give you some think time. Yes, we're talking about the setting of our story. So let's make sure we say that in a sentence, in a complete sentence. Our answers have to be in complete sentences. Where are Zach and Ann? We talked about the setting of our story today. Remember, it was the pond at daytime. So let's think about what our sentence could say. Where are Zach and Ann? We could write Zach and Ann are at the pond. Yes. Now, if you have a different sentence, please write it. Miss Nakian's going to write Zach. I'm going to start with the uppercase letter, Zach, and Ann. Ooh, I'm going to use our tricky word, are, return sweep, at the pond. And I'm going to put my period. Yeah, we want to make sure we have 5-star writing today. Number 2. Zach says, I wish I were a cat. I wish I were a frog. I wish I were a bug. Touch the answer that you think is the correct one. Yes, I wish I were a bug. We're going to go back into our story and check our thinking. Oh, look at this. Y'all are doing such a great job at remembering important details. In our story, Zach says, "I wish I were a bug." So when we answer that question, we show our answer. Remember that we stay in the circle and we color in as close as we can. Very nice. Number 3, Anne says, "Bugs are no fun. Bugs are the best. Bugs spin webs." Touch the answer that you think is the right one. Yes, bugs are no fun. And I remember, let's go back into our story to check our thinking again. I remember that Anne tells Zach, good job remembering those important details. Look at this. Why says Anne, bugs are no fun? So we're going to bubble in that answer. And remember, we're going to stay in that circle. Very nice. Okay, now we're going to move on to question 4. Can a frog munch on a bug? Ooh, let's do some thinking. Can a frog munch on a bug? Remember, munch was our special vocabulary word. It means to eat or chew. Yes, and look, remember in our story, Zach changed his mind because Anne told him that frogs hop, splash, and munch on bugs. So we can write our sentence, and our sentence can say, a frog can munch, there's our new vocabulary word, munch, on a bug. And we're going to make sure we have our period. Make sure you have a nice complete sentence for your answer. And it's okay if your sentence is a little different than Ms. Nakian's sentence. I encourage you to do your own thinking when you answer your question. But make sure it's in a complete sentence and you follow your 5-star writing rules. Your uppercase letter, your spacing, your nice handwriting with your tripod grip. You end your sentence with your period, a punctuation mark, and your sentence makes sense. Oh, and this box is for something very special. In this box, you're going to go back and draw a part of the story. So you can go back into your story, and Ms. Nakia is going to challenge you to draw maybe your favorite part of the story. Maybe you could draw Zach thinking of himself as a bug. Yeah. And maybe you could even write that, Zach decides, I will not wish to be a bug. Or you could write, Zach thinks about being a bug. But make sure you use lots of details in your part that you choose to illustrate for your favorite part of the story. Ms. Nakia is also going to challenge you today to write and draw your words from the story. Munch. Remember, munch means to chew or eat something. So you're going to write the word. And then maybe you could draw yourself eating your favorite food. You also had the vocabulary word web. So Ms. Nakia is going to challenge you to write the word web and draw Ms. Nakia a really cool web. And your little spider. And I cannot wait to see what your imaginations come up with for your story today. Thank you for reading with me today. And I hope you go back and do some very awesome reading and go back and reread your story as well as your other stories in your Zach and Anne reader. Thank you for reading with me today, and I'll see you very soon. Have a great day.